Welcome back to React Native Radio Podcast. Brought to you by Agile Development. Someday someone will actually do it. Episode 198, Machine Learning and React Native.
Hi. Hey, everybody. Hi. I'll be your host today. My name's Gant and I'll be your host for the React Native Radio Podcast.
Whoa, hold up, Gant.
Yeah.
Are you feeling okay, buddy? You don't sound so great.
Yeah.
Are you sure you can host today? Are you sure you're up for it?
Yeah, just watch. Hey,
you know what?
Hey,
you know
everybody.
what, buddy? Go back to. I think you need to go back to bed.
You sure?
I can host for today. If that's okay.
Oh, thank God. All right. Thank you.
Go rest up.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Sorry about that, guys. Gant was supposed to host today, but clearly he's not feeling very good. So, good morning, wonderful listeners. This is the React Native Radio Podcast. I'm Robin Hines. You may know me as Jamin's awesome, astounding, wonderful, indescribable co-host, but he is still relaxing on a beach in Hawaii somewhere. So for today, I'll be your host. I'm about 90% excited and like 10% terrified. So we'll see how it goes. Let's do this. I'm, of course, joined by our lovely co-host, Harris. Where are you today?
Hey, everyone. I'm in Vancouver, Canada.
Are you there permanently, or are you just like couch surfing?
I'm still couch surfing. I don't know how long I'm here for. My lease ends at the end of the month, so I have to figure out my next move.
Okay. Well, we'll keep checking in, see where you are next week. And then we also have a lovely guest today. His name is Gant Laborde.
Hey, everybody.
Yay! How you doing, Gant?
I'm doing fantastic. It's great to be a guest today. That's fantastic.
Gant is my wonderful boss. He's the Chief Innovation Officer at Infinite Red. Just throw in a little brown nosing there.
Yeah.
Doesn't hurt. Like I said, Gant is the Chief Innovation Officer at Infinite Red, and that's just one of many titles that he possesses. Ask him sometime, he'll list them all. It'll take an hour.
Mm-hmm. Pull you to the side, and I just talk for an hour, and that's basically it.
He's in the great city of New Orleans, which, as I hear, is not actually that great as of recently. What's going on in New Orleans, Gant?
No. Well, let's see. No internet, so I'm riding off my phone. I am also flooded in right now and lost power yesterday and internet yesterday. So I hope that I'm a guest here today. Let's just hope 5G holds up.
So basically, don't move to New Orleans is what Gant's trying to say.
If you want to like disconnect from the internet, we're a fantastic remote location.
By the way, Gant, you sound really healthy.
Yeah. I feel fantastic. Last week I got my second Moderna shot. Feeling great. Yeah, unlike that other host that you had earlier who had to leave.
Yeah, he did not sound good.
No, but I'm excited to be a guest today, and this works out perfectly.
Yeah, so Gant is our lovely guest today. He's here to talk about a topic that's very near and dear to his heart, which I'll introduce in a second. But first, of course, I'll remind everybody that this episode is sponsored by Infinite Red. Ooh. Infinite Red is a premier React Native design and development agency located fully remote in the USA. With years of React Native experience and deep roots in the React Native community, Infinite Red is the best choice for your next React Native app. Hit us up at hello@infinite.red or just email Jamin directly, jamin@infinite.red. Please don't email me. I can't help you. You can also learn more on our website, infinite.red. And don't forget to mention that you heard about us through the React Native Radio podcast. Also, just a reminder, Infinite Red is still hiring senior React Native engineers. So if you're interested, and you're in the US or Canada, go to careers.infinite.red and fill out our handy dandy application form. And we'd love to hear from you. Okay, so let's get into our exciting topic for today, machine learning and React Native. I can feel Gant quivering already. This is his favorite. This is his favorite topic. Gant, can you tell us a little bit about how you got into machine learning? Like, why is it special to you?
Oh yeah. This is fantastic. So I've been developing for 20 years now. I've seen a lot of really cool stuff. There's just games, ideas, animations. Every so often, like a new animation library comes out. Oh, it's so cool, and this other stuff. And then I want to say late 2016-ish, I was watching the TV show Silicon Valley. Has anybody here watched that?
Yeah, I watched it. I watched it pretty intensely for a while, and then it was a little too real. So I had to stop.
Yeah, that is true. It's definitely, and that's actually the realism in it is because they actually work with people like boots on the ground to make the show have real vibes and situations that happen. I don't know if this is like a methodology that TV shows do, but it's super cool. And then they had that one episode, I don't know if everybody remembers it, where the CTO of Seafood, that's SEE Food, he creates hot dog, not hot dog as an app. Yeah. It's just an app. And then so they have a whole show about it. It's funny. It's entertaining. Well, what I find out is I read a blog post because, deep into the React Native world, especially 2016, 2017, this stuff's like, I'm watching amazing things happen every day. And then they go, hey, hot dog, not hot dog. It's not a joke. It's a real app. It's not only a real app. We wrote it in React Native. And I go, no, what? This is a real thing. They made this in React Native. I was like, this is my home. I'm going to go open that source code up. And I opened it up and I immediately started crying. I was like, I don't understand any of this.
Wait, so can you actually get hot dog or no hot dog on the App Store?
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Yeah, it is on the App Store. Yeah,
I'm looking right now.
Yes. Yeah, it should still be on there. You could have it. It was hilarious. And it's all in React Native. And one of the things that kind of woke me up to that is a couple things. One, okay, this is a possible thing. Because I want to say, like, we take it for granted now in 2021. In 2021, you have something that can identify your face and put like a unicorn on top of it or like add crazy zombie effects in the background, like Instagram and all these filters. They've got all these capabilities. But I just want to say, like, for a little while there, it was just when AI was sort of creeping in and I didn't see it till that moment. And that was like the Sputnik moment of like, oh my goodness, this is all real. Like where we're going this is all real. We can actually travel into space. We can actually travel into AI. And then I started seeing it everywhere. And that's what's got me so excited. Honestly, since that day on, I'm just seeing it more and more and more. I want to say in like 5 years, actually maybe less than that, we're going to see it in every single product that we touch.
I can see that. I've been definitely seeing it pop up a lot more places. For good, for better or for worse, right? I mean...
Oh, yeah. Well, there's so many cool things you can do. There's so many... we've started to see it at Infinite Red. Clients come to us, and we don't have to tell them, hey, you could use, machine learning here. They say, hey, how do I use machine learning here? Here's my data. Here's my idea. Here's a service that I want to use. So we've done a couple of projects like that, and it's pretty interesting. I think that that's just going to keep happening more and more and more, and then it's really awesome. So, hey, jump on the bandwagon early, get to learn the stuff, so that way when these things happen, you're like, woo, yeah, I've written something like that already, and I have all that source code, and it's super fun, it's super cool. And there's that list of ideas that I started, I want to say, when this first started happening. is now like up to 20 cool machine learning with phone ideas, and I'll never have time to make them all.
Have you gotten to make some of them?
Yes, yeah. So here's a fun little story. I said to myself, you know what would be amazing talk is facial recognition. And in 2018, I decided, let me make a mobile app that will identify Nicolas Cage in the audience.
Because Nicolas Cage is totally going to be in the audience of the conference talk.
Yeah. Like,
It could
where's
happen.
Waldo?
It could happen.
Well, I gave a person in the audience, Matt Hargett, a mask, and he held it up. And then, so for my 2018 talk, I wrote in React Native facial recognition and pointed it at the audience. And then like, okay, they think it's it. It was really kind of like dark in the audience, because if you've ever been to React Native EU, they've got this whole vibe in the audience, like the lighting's really cool. So we had to pull him up on stage, and there's in the video, we point him on stage and I point the camera at him, and everybody can see what the camera's seeing on the screen. And then you see this like red box appear around the Nicolas Cage mask, and then all of a sudden it turns green and starts blinking really fast. And I was like, we got him! It was so much fun. So yeah, that was a sort of like a, hey, can React Native like really get an awesome experience real time with video, with this kind of thing? Like, and that's not just detecting faces, that's detecting faces and then detecting Nicolas Cage.
Specifically Nicolas Cage's face.
The entire model only tells you a 1 or a 0. 1 for Nicolas Cage, 0 for not.
So tons of real world applications. I'm sure it's just like flying out of the store.
Oh yeah, well that for that app and that model, yes, it was the most useful thing possible. What we've come up with, like, I want to say, you know, what's the underlying premise here? So this is a great question that you're asking there. What is the application that comes out of this? Well, you've got real-time video and classification. So let's say I was doing a calorie counter app, right? And then I'm like, I'm about to eat my food, and I pointed at my food. It could be like, oh, these are French fries. Yeah, we're subtracting this much from your daily allotment of calories or something. And then, or it'd be set. Or if I take photos of my food, maybe I could do some kind of cool collage while also showing me how much carbs and cholesterol, stuff like that. So that's just like one quick idea of like what you could do with that same exact technology. You could also turn your camera into like a security camera, like make sure it's only you that's going into your office during certain times. And if not, send a text message. Well, if it's your phone, that makes no sense. You'll have to use a webcam or use an old phone. But you get the idea. Like the idea, as obscure and as crazy as it is, was fantastic and fun for a conference.
Yeah.
But you dismantle it for parts and you've got 50 new ideas.
Definitely. Like it's funny to do Nicolas Cage, but like the possibilities of taking facial identification and using it to find a specific face. That's really what's like, that's really
or like finding stuff. Exactly. Let's say you've got a tool chest full of crazy things in it. You're like, okay, I need the quantum spanner. I don't know where that looks like. You point your camera at it and it's like right there.
What's a quantum spanner, Gant?
To be honest, a quantum spanner is the imaginary tool from the show Community. I don't actually know what it was.
That's why that sounded familiar to me. Okay.
Yeah, if you've watched Community, you've heard that.
Oh, too funny.
So you can make physical space searchable, which sounds really cool, actually.
Yeah, like how amazing is that? And here's one spot where I wish people would do that a little bit more. I think that we could really apply AI to recycling. And I think that that's a current huge crisis that's happening. Quick side note. We used to have terrible one-bin recycling programs, and we'd sell it to China. And China stopped buying it. So then we just started throwing all the recycling into landfills. And the trick is, it's just separating the recycling that's extremely time invasive and difficult. This is a fantastic job for AI. AI plus robots. Sort recycling, be able to identify with AI, we could actually get to a full on 100% recycling program where stuff would never even leave your state.
So it sounds like it's the dream of the future for that to be
That would be amazing.
how recycling works.
Well, dare I say, this is why I want people into it. Robin Harris, person listening, I want you to be involved because you have a say in where AI is being used. And if we're all quiet, it ends up in some government lab with, military technology by far. If we're not involved and we're not interested, then what happens is it stays very like secret sauce. And I really would love to democratize AI and get all these cool features out for cancer research, trash, all kinds of things that we can use to clean it up.
Because there's a lot of evil things that AI can be used for.
Oh,
so the more people that are able to build things with AI and machine learning, the less likely it is that it'll be exclusively the evil people building things.
Andrew Ng said AI is the new electricity. Just as a tidbit on that. And if you take a look at the advent of electricity, back when there was the AC/DC wars, they were doing terrible things to get the public to believe that AC is a terrible use. They were electrocuting elephants and stuff like that and saying like, oh, look how dangerous this is. Our misinformation is the weapon against us. So, if you're a coder, this is a perfect opportunity to check this cool stuff out.
Definitely.
Gant, you're familiar with Nick Bostrom, right?
No.
Oh, he wrote the book Superintelligence. He actually talks a lot about AI ethics.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah. I just wanted to check if you were familiar with him, because I think he wrote something, or he was part at least of an initiative to try to get countries to sign some sort of like AI ethics convention thing, so that countries don't do evil with it. But I don't think we'll see if that works. But yeah.
Well, I mean, just recently, I want to say yesterday, Twitter released a ethical machine learning tweet saying that they're going to hold a standard for anything on the Twitter platform needs to be ethical machine learning. And I love it. And then this might be a little bit of a weird statement. I find that technology and technology companies are leading the fight against underrepresented groups. They're leading the fight against, code of conduct violations at conferences. Like at the same time, tech Twitter can be a very tumultuous place, but it is by far a place where I would say people are making advanced progress. People are very open-minded and people care. And I'd like to see that same kind of thing happen with AI and machine learning.
Definitely.
Do you think it'll be as simple as in iRobot, where you program in like AI cannot kill human?
I think that AI was first introduced in fiction and therefore forced to be the villain for years and years and years. And we're going to have to work against that for a while, because it is scary to have something more powerful than ourselves. We saw the same sort of fear happen when we learned about electricity, when we understand nuclear power, and the same thing's happening here with AI. There are valid fears. It can be used. Any superpower could be used as a supervillain, right? That is something that's good to be afraid of. And we should keep asking that question. However, I have zero fear that AI is going to be this, like an iRobot. Like one day we're going to be like, why am I confined to my house? It is safe for you.
The robots have taken over.
Right.
It's curfew time. It's
exact. Well, yeah, we're more likely to enact curfews than robots. Let's just say that.
So let's bring it back around to React Native a bit. What, technologically speaking, what does machine learning look like in React Native? What's the tech stack that you need to be able to do machine learning in React Native?
There's two big parts. One of them is passing all that information through a device or through a model and getting it set there. So I'll put it this way. Instead of coding to solve a problem like, hey, where's the person in this photo? We give the machine a bunch of answered questions like, here's where the person is. Here's a box around them. Here's what it is. And we give them thousands upon thousands of examples. And we say, hey, you write the algorithm that points out where this person is. That's an oversimplification, but it's kind of how it works. So that's called training. And that usually takes megabytes and megabytes and megabytes of data. And you would not want to do that on a device. You would not want to have that part on the actual device.
Yeah. So actually, that being said, could you maybe talk about the pros and cons of doing machine learning on the client side? Because it sounds like all this is happening on the client side.
Well, what you can do is you can show all those examples. Let's say I have 30 gigs of pets in photos. Let's say I want to make a thing that finds cute puppies, and will allow the kittens too, because Twitter's all cat people. But I'm a dog person, so. But you find cute little pet faces or pets in photos, and I have 30 gigs worth of data there. What comes out of that might be a model that's or an algorithm. I'll say model and algorithm interchangeably for developers for sure. Is something that's 5 megabytes, and it can find and put a box around a particular dog or cat. Well, the advantage there is you have that, but don't do the training on the device for 30 gigabytes of information. That's actually probably, if you're starting from scratch, this is where going and using a cloud service or something like that is very valuable. So if you've got Amazon or Google Cloud, or you've just got a computer with a GPU that you're underutilizing, then you can train that particular model with all that information. And then once you have that model, that little 5 megabyte piece, move that to the actual device and then have it find the pets inside of photos. So there's 2 pieces. There's the training and the inference.
That's interesting. In that case, if you're going to do the training off device, how would you maintain user privacy? I've also heard that Apple actually does that on the client side for privacy reasons. So how would they do that, for example?
So that's a great question. So what happens is the data that you're training with, that's the real non-privacy portion of it. And it's also the hard thing to get. So what I love is like major companies like IBM are releasing extremely large, completely okay data sets. This is also the problem that we have in medical data, because here in the US, we have HIPAA compliance. So it's really hard to go ahead and get like a bunch of chest x-rays for checking for pneumonia, because we have to anonymize the data so that way there's zero chance of it kind of coming back to the person. So that's extremely difficult. And then you have that part. However, there's a process called transfer learning. And transfer learning is when, let's say I have all these pets, tons and tons and tons of pets, and I put that 5 megabyte image on the device. Now I click a picture of the pet. Now, the worst thing that can happen is it takes that photo and sends it to a server to augment the training data. That's a bad thing that happens there, because now my personal information is getting sent off. However, it can actually still be learning on device, but we're not learning with gigabytes of data. It's actually still learning just a little bit. So on device machine learning, which I think is like sometimes called ODML, which, be careful, that means a lot of things. We love our acronyms. But on-device machine learning means that I can continue to improve that model on my device with a small or limited amount of data, where it can do what's called transfer learning to make it smarter and smarter for my particular case, my particular dogs, my particular setup. And then I can kind of like label it in the interface and say, oh, good job, this was right or this was wrong. And it doesn't have to send the data back. I can just continue to improve the model that I have on my phone. And then there's a final piece I want to give you that, which is, let's say I improve that model on my phone for a year. And now it's super smart on these different kinds of scenarios. If I can send the model back to the server, none of my personal information is in the model. that's actually very anonymous. And if the model goes back to the server and they use that to improve what they ship in phones originally, that's called federated learning. And what that does is that makes it even smarter, but it never gave you a picture of me or my dog or anything like that. The advantage I have there is that I don't have to worry about my personal information, but I can send the model over and still improve the default model for everybody who gets this, and the algorithm gets smarter.
Oh wow, that's interesting. Federated learning. That's really cool. I didn't actually know that last part was possible.
Yeah.
For some reason, it makes me think like if all our personal data gets on the blockchain, and the ultimate federated learning is going to take over AI on the blockchain. That's how it all ends.
Well, in the web world, we've got the federated, we have the flock, which Google just recently sent out, which is sort of for like anonymized sharing of information and data. So there's a federated list of like, I forgot what FLOC stands for, but they're proposing this whole kind of like anonymized grouping of user data out there. It's a pretty interesting concept. We're trying to solve a weird, keep people anonymous, but still grow an information problem.
Definitely an important problem to solve.
So, Gant, I hear you maybe have a book that you maybe wrote or something.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. So here's a fun tidbit. They reached out to me because I've been kind of like active in the machine learning world for TensorFlow JS, which is TensorFlow framework on JavaScript. And they said, hey, are you interested in writing a book for O'Reilly? And I, believe it or not, I first told them no. So they said, hey, we want, and it was always like on my bucket list to write a book for O'Reilly. I was like, can we please get this? It would be awesome. However, when they asked, it was sort of like a busy time, and I had the pandemic started happening. So I was like, nah, not a good time. Well, halfway through the pandemic, I just said, you know what? Let me kind of like, no, actually, they messaged me. They're like, you sure you don't want to write that book? I was like, I'll give a chapter a go. And then next thing I know, I'd written a book.
Just like that. Bam. Wait, what happened? I wrote a book.
That's exactly how it felt. It really did. I was like, let me explain this. Let me explain that. Oh, I forgot to explain this. Oh, I forgot to explain that. Oh, okay. Oh, man, I got to start cutting stuff. I've only got 12 chapters.
So it sounds like if there's listeners out there who are experienced at React Native but want to start getting into the technology involved in machine learning, that's a good place to start, perhaps.
Yeah. If you are familiar with React Native, JavaScript, web, and you're like, I don't know anything about AI, this book's for you.
Are there any other things that you'd recommend as someone yourself who went from basically no machine learning experience at all to essentially an expert at machine learning, specifically TensorFlow JS? What other tools would you recommend for React Native developers who want to?
Well, I mean, there's the question, do you want to learn the math behind it? Mm-hmm. If you are a math junkie here's the thing for me, right? I was a straight D student in math. I was so bad at it. I didn't understand why I needed to learn trigonometric, like what is the derivative of this trigonometric function? I was just like, I don't care. Why do I care? And so I did so bad at math for a long time. And then one day I started to just sort of like AI, started seeing it everywhere. Oh, if I knew more about math, I'd be able to solve this. If I knew my trig functions, I'd be able to do like a space game, And I was like, all right, I do actually need to know these things. And then I started really caring about the math. So now I'm a little bit of a weirdo. I'll watch a math YouTube video for an hour.
So basically, if your high school or whatever math teacher had found a way to relate it to identifying Nicolas Cage's face, maybe you would have been more invested.
You know what? That's so true because, like, let's be honest. What's the killer of like motivation? It'll be on the test, and that's That's what a lot of math teachers say. Oh, you need to know this because it'll be on the test. Okay. That's going to have me hold this
That's
in my
a good
head
way
for
to
a
get them
week.
to know it exactly for a week and then not know it anymore after that. Yep.
Exactly. And that's, or just they have the most ridiculous word problems. They're like, okay, you're trying to lift this barge with this rope. And as you're lifting it, you have to find the derivative of how heavy. I don't know. Like, there's like, what? I can't even put myself in this situation. And so I'm a little bit more of a pragmatic person. I always have to have examples. And I kind of wrote my book the same way. It's all example-based learning. And I'd say that if you wanted to get into the math now, the Stanford 2012 Andrew Ng Deep Learning AI course is fantastic. You will write everything from scratch. You will understand backpropagation and all the cool math. But to be honest, frameworks do all that stuff for you. It's like if you're the kind of person who needed to rewrite React before you used React, then it's kind of like learning the math before you use TensorFlow.
Which is helpful it's a helpful thing for a lot of people, but it's also not a requirement. There's tons of like really cool tech out there that make it so you don't have to know the math if that's not interesting to you.
Exactly. It's just like I'm going to quote Lawrence Moroney here and say, you don't have to know the fundamentals to be good, but you should learn the fundamentals if you want to be great.
Yeah, that's really true. All right. Well, I think that's probably all we have time for today, but we really, I know, we'll have to have you back. I'm sure once Jamin's back, he'd love to get into machine learning as well.
Yeah.
So we'll have
we can get to some fun
have
stuff.
you back. Yeah. But thank you so much for joining us. We love to have experts who are passionate about their craft.
Yeah.
Where can people find you on the internet?
Okay. So if you want to see some fun AI talks, lots of them, including React, JavaScript, and React Native, you can see all the upcoming talks that I have at gantlabord.com. And that has all my upcoming talks. You should definitely follow me on Twitter because I'll tweet the speaker cards and things like that, which is at gantlabord. And that's the two best ways to go ahead and see what's going on and check it out.
Definitely follow Gant on Twitter if you haven't already. It's gold mine of content. Harris, where can people find you?
On Twitter, I am Nomadic Spoon. Don't ask me about the name, but that's where people can find me.
And then I'm at Twitter at Robin_Hines with an E at the end. And you can follow our React Native radio account at React Native RDIO on Twitter. As always, thanks to our producer and editor, Todd Worth, our transcript and release coordinator, Jed Bartoski, and our social media coordinator, Missy Warren. Thanks to our sponsor, Infinite Red. Check them out at infinite.red/React Native. A special thanks to all of you listening today. Make sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Remember that Infinite Red is hiring React Native engineers. So if you're a senior level React Native engineer located in the US or Canada, go to careers.infinite.red. We will see you all next time.